Welcome back, Officers Republic. It's your Coruscant Underworld Police Chief APGAINS. I got some hard-hitting advice that is very obvious, but no one's going to want to hear it. But even though it's obvious, no one seems to be doing it, myself included, until this point. And I guess that's kind of the point I'm trying to make, is the barrier to entry for this is your will to live. And if you can manage just a tiny bit of decline in will to live to gain it on the back end in other forms of will to live, I would argue occasionally worth it. As you can see, I haven't been playing for a couple days. I've been on this all over the country work trip, just flying, just busy stuff. So I'm all out of resources, or all maxed out on my resources. But I don't use datacrons. I'm going to preface this right now. I almost never use datacrons, and I'd say most people outside of Kyber 2 and Kyber 1 don't really use datacrons at all, right? I think the last time that I actively used datacrons was maybe 6 months ago or something like that, when there was the datacron that gave everyone like turn meter to start the battle or something like that, or gain turn, there was like one level 3 that everyone was spamming out, and it was absolutely broken, and people were climbing because, like I said, the barrier to entry is will to live, and if you can sacrifice a little bit of will to live in order to make it up on the back end, occasionally I would argue it's worth it. Now, I don't really care too much about datacrons because in Kyber 3, I don't really use them. I'm actually down to Kyber 4. I've been AFK this first week of 3v3, so I've gotten 0 points, 0 crystals, and 0 wins, but can you blame me? I've been in meetings and airports and all that other bullshit for the whole week. So, we'll climb back into Kyber 3 starting today, hopefully, now that I'm back. But the level 3 that's going around right now is really busted for good, strong rosters. And of course, if you don't have a good roster, I guess maybe it's not as applicable. But, especially people have been following the guide, you're going to be in the perfect fucking position for this really easy health and protection datacron, the level 3. Just spam the fuck out of it when it comes back around, because obviously it's going to be too late now. Conquest is ending today. But when it comes back around, like, I didn't even care about getting the Leviathan shards. Like, I got like the 4th box. I'm sacrificing like 5 to 10 Leviathan shards. Whatever, it's fine. I'm not going to get Leviathan day 1, but we will have a video day 1, or a live stream day 1 of unlocking the Leviathan. So make sure you guys come watch that stuff. But so I don't really need those 5 shards. So I've just been trying to spam the level 3 datacron, and obviously the drop rates week 1, or I guess week 1 of a new datacron set, are abysmally bad because they want to incentivize the people who are already going to spend money to do it up front. So you're going to have worse drop rates now versus 2 weeks from now when the next conquest character is out and stuff like that. But it's so easy to just spam this out that it's going to make your 3v3 especially, but your 5v5 defense as well, incredibly fucked up, especially because we all know our opponents have millions more GP than us. They've got more galactic legend, they've got all that shit, right? But again, like I said, unless you're in Kyber 2 or Kyber 1, like, no one is using datacrons. So if you just want to be the asshole that just spams out like 5 to 10 of the level 3 like health and protection datacrons or your light and dark side defensive teams, you don't even need to like put them on your offensive teams because you're probably fine in that respect, but just spam them on your defensive teams. I've been talking to some buddies who are, Kyber 5, Kyber 4, some are down into a rhodium. They said like they're getting, out GP'd by like 3-4 million. I'm sure you guys can all relate. And they're just like, yeah, I just put this down. It just makes every counter slightly different to where like the lazy opponents that have hella GP and hella characters and shit like that, they're just punching down because they either suck at the game or they're just lazy. Like, it changes the matchups just barely enough to where there's just an ungodly amount of drop battles, like Kyber 4, Kyber 5, all over rhodium. If you're in chromium, this is going to absolutely, like, if you're in chromium, you probably don't have a ton of Relic 3 teams. But if you're in a position where you can actually use these datacrons on a couple of your defensive squads, they've been getting holds like a motherfucker, just because it's just weird to have so much health and protection on like a random team, especially if there's tanks on that squad. This is not ingenious advice because, like I said, I don't use datacrons, and most people who play this game don't use datacrons. But occasionally when a nice level 3 datacron that actually is easy to get and doesn't require much effort and is very broadly applicable comes around, I like to jump on it and just grab a couple, 5 to 10 of them, just to make my defense a little bit more nasty. fucks up my opponents, helps me climb, maybe once I get Leviathan, I can get up into Kyber 2 for the first time, be like the lowest GP player in Kyber 2 history. Would be pretty funny. But yeah, I'm excited. Go farm your fucking Datacrons next time they're around. I know they suck. I don't like to do it either. I barely do Conquest. So I'm right there with you, but it'll increase your PP size and maybe your will to live. All right, bye-bye.